How's it going, everybody? My name is Artorigold, and today I'm going to go over a Roadhog VOD for Dorado, defense and attack. This is a Smurf account, so you're able to get a lot of things done on this map. There's a lot of routes for you to flank. One of the really good things is the shield war that usually happens on this very first point. There's a tunnel, and Roadhog really helps you destroy that main shield really quickly so you can get it out of the way. Roadhog also has a lot of flanking potential. You want to be really careful when you flank. It's pretty dangerous. It's a risk-reward situation, and you don't get as much reward out of it, and it's usually more risk. It really depends on what the enemy team is running. So what I like to do as Roadhog in this map, I try to just hide behind this corner. As you'll see, I'll kind of try to scout. So the reason I do this is in case there's a Winston or D.Va, because what they'll do is they'll jump up here as soon as they can. I'm holding down tab in order to see it. Luckily, I see they have a Sombra, I hear the hack come out, and I just immediately get the hook off on her. I don't even think she saw me. But one of the reasons why I hide in that corner as Roadhog is if there's a Winston or a D.Va and they decide to leap in on that area, which they typically will do, you can get an easy hook and pick on them. So whenever a Reinhardt flame strikes, that's something you want to look for when you're playing Roadhog. It's a pretty big giveaway. It's a really amazing time to just get a nice easy hook on them. So what I like to do with the breather, this is one of the strategies to use the breather, is because you have such a huge damage reduction with your breather. Ooh, yeah, see right there, there's a couple of things I want to talk about. First off, when playing Roadhog, right, you want to look for these flame strikes on the Reinhardt. If the Reinhardt gets really greedy, you're able to get a really nice, easy, simple hook on him. Get him out of position and your team can just follow up with damage. He's discorded, I'm just getting in his face. Another thing you want to look to do is playing against an Ana is really, really tough for a Roadhog because everything she does to you is just, it's so easy for her to land her sleep, so easy for the anti. So what I'm doing right here is I'm kind of blocking and using my breather damage reduction because I know my healers are there. I know the enemy Ana just used anti-nade, right? So there's no way she's going to punish me for that. And my healers are healing me as well as my breather damage reduction going right there. So I'm just going to absorb as much damage as possible and try to help my team because I know there's a Widowmaker there and the Reinhardt shield's probably... Unfortunately, I overextend right here. One of the biggest weaknesses for Roadhog right now is Ana. As you can see, as a shield, please. I wanted my Reinhardt to just step a little bit more forward with the shield. It would have really helped me out. But Ana has a really easy time using sleep and nade on you, which are pretty much direct counters to you. Anti-nade is probably one of the biggest things you gotta worry about as a Roadhog. Not being able to heal with your breather is pretty bad. I do a nice little 360 there. Just try to keep myself in there. So hooking an Ana is also really problematic because I actually really like that hook. I wanted to show you one of the reasons why that hook was so good is because, as you can see, she's actually trying to run away from a D.Va bomb right here. So I hear my D.Va, she uses the explosion, and I just hook her into the explosion radius. Now that's not something you can do all the time, but if you're playing Roadhog, you typically want to save the cooldown for your hook for really important things, such as people you know you're going to get a kill on. If you use a hook on a target like Ana or a Mercy, then typically what will happen is they have a pretty hard to hit hitbox, right? And so when you use a hook on them, typically they're going to stay alive. So one of the things you want to do is you want to make sure that when you use that hook cooldown, you're going to get that kill, right? It's a pretty long cooldown. So you want to make sure you get the most out of it. You don't want to just shoot your hook out there at nothing. You want to get value out of it. So here, I'm just going to try to run away. I'm just trying to get them off the cart, trying to get some picks, do some damage. Unfortunately, it looks like they swapped to a Reaper, and I wasn't aware of this. I knew they had a that Widowmaker. Oh, the Widowmaker also swapped. So right there, that's just kind of a thing for when you're playing Overwatch in general. Something you always want to do is just hit tab. Right? If you ever play any MOBAs or, you know, like Dota, actually I take that back. If you play any AOTS, if you play any games like Dota, one of the general rules of advice in games like that is to always check your mini-map, right? And so when I click tab in Overwatch, I believe it's kind of like the same thing as checking your mini-map in Dota, right? Because it's information. It's free information. So whenever, see right there, that was a bad hook. I saw that the Reinhardt was distracted and I had a moment, but I hesitated. You gotta be careful with those moments of hesitation. But One general rule of advice is to... that's unlucky. Not a very good hook there. So what... See, this is a perfect example of Ana just countering you, right? As Roadhog, you have a really tough time dealing with an Ana. She's going to nade you. She's going to sleep you. So here I'm just getting some really big shots on the Zarya. She has a lot of energy. I'm trying to do damage. You kind of want to play more guerrilla warfare style. Unfortunately, they just shred me right here because my team ended up backing up and losing that fight. But as I was saying with the minimap, it's kind of similar to a minimap if you ever play Dota, right? So every time you press tab, that's free information. You know what the enemy heroes are swapping to, and it's just something you should always check every once in a while, right? Just doing that really helps you out. So here we're kind of just going to regroup. This is the regrouping stage of everything. So here, really good Transcendence by my Zenyatta. I ended up getting the hook, and he had like 1 HP. Luckily, we picked him up here. So now we're just doing all this damage, right? Roadhog actually does a lot of damage, but it's really difficult because it's just, it does seem like he does, I mean, he does do considerably less damage compared to what he used to, which is, he used to have that one-shot potential on so many characters. So what I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to see if there's going to be like a squishy who comes by or anything. I actually wanted to miss that hook because I did not want to hook a Reaper, because Reaper is just going to kill me. I was thinking about it. I was going for it. I was going to go for the first hook that I saw there, but you shouldn't hook enemies like Reaper unless you're able to get him with your team. So here I get a Nana Boost, so I'm just going to use Whole Hog, right? I wasn't really sure what was there, but I'm going to go ahead and just focus down the Zenyatta really quickly. Whole Hog isn't really that ult that you want to save. It's a very powerful ult, but typically when I like to use Whole Hog is generally when I get a hook on someone and I'm not able to one-shot them, which is a lot of characters, then I'll use Whole Hog just to finish them off to get a pick. Because one of the problems with Whole Hog, if you use it against an enemy Ana, she's going to nade you and you're just going to die because you can't get healed, or she's going to sleep you and interrupt you and then follow it up with an anti-nade and you can't get healed and then you die, right? So here I go for the hook just to get the enemy Reinhardt out of position, which you're never going to kill a Reinhardt like that usually, right? But typically if you do that, you make it so your team has a lot more better line of sight without the barrier protecting them, which is kind of what I'm going for when I hook a Reinhardt. Not only is it good to get rid of his armor, but hooking the enemy Reinhardt can get him out of position so his team can't utilize it. So I'm going to go ahead and hook the Zarya just to get some ult charge and damage on her. She doesn't get any energy out of it. Which is pretty good. Building a Whole Hog is decent. Like I said, though, it's not really like the best ult in the game. It's pretty good, but you don't want to... Unfortunate that hook broke, but so here I'm able to just use my Whole Hog to get them away. Like, I'm using it as a more zoning tool, right? In that situation, I just wanted to make sure that I could help my team survive grab any way I could. So here I go for the Ana, but she gets the bubble, and I'm just overwhelmed by the Zenyatta's 3 versus 1. What I was trying to do there is also just buy time, because there was no way I was going to survive that situation. So I tried to get them further away from the point as much as possible, which kind of creates space for my team so they can regroup, and we can have another fight here at this point, because they weren't grouped up. But unfortunately, it's still just not going to be enough. I believe the enemy team has kind of a big advantage right now. I'm going to try to go for the Zenyatta. That's something I desperately want to do in this game. And I'm going to try to stall the point as much as possible to some damage. Unfortunately, she has her barrier. But going for a Zenyatta is kind of what your goal is as Roadhog, especially in this game, because that's a target that you can one-shot. There's not a whole lot of targets you can one-shot. I believe you can target a Zenyatta. You can one-shot soldiers and McCrees, I believe. You can't do it to a lot of other squishy characters, though, because they just have such small hitboxes. Like Mercy and Ana will get away. Lucio gets away. You gotta play Roadhog a little bit more passively. I like to try and flank a little bit, but I don't overcommit and go like all the way behind enemy lines. I like flanking a little bit. Ideally, what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to get behind to try and get the Zenyatta. That's what I'm going for. Yeah. So I'm going for the Zenyatta. Unfortunately, I missed the hooks, and my team's kind of paying for it because I'm not on the front line. And the Reaper is just tearing through us. So I'm going to try to stall here, I believe. Or do I just let him get it? Nah, yeah. Wait for my Reinhardt. Now I'm going to go for the Zenyatta. Perfect. Make sure when you hook a target, always follow up with a melee. So you want to hook, left click, then melee as your follow-up damage. And typically that's going to one-shot a lot of characters. If they're damaged or weak or taking incoming damage, then you can pretty much always guarantee it. It's kind of what Roadhog is, much more reliant on his team. You need to play with your team a lot more. You can't just go solo and flank. You want to typically just get them out of position. So one of the cool things you can do in an overtime situation, if a Zenyatta tries to do something like that, you can actually hook them during Transcendence. Hooking a Zenyatta during Transcendence doesn't do anything, but it gets him out of position. So right there, he wanted to try and touch the point, and I just make sure that doesn't happen. You can actually try to hook the Zenyatta trans outside of the Graviton, so then anybody who's in there won't get any heals. Anyways, that was defense. It was okay. It was a pretty good defense. They didn't take it all the way. I'm going to stop here, and then I'm going to move into a part 2 for attack. So it looks like we have the Shimada brothers and Ryan and Roadhog. So tanks that you want to work with the Roadhog is typically a Roadhog and Reinhardt and Orisa. Those are the ones you want to go with. Roadhog and Winston aren't that effective. Winston kind of wants to dive in there, but Roadhog is pretty effective with an Orisa, especially because whenever an Orisa uses her right click halt, whenever you use that, it could suck them into the air and you can get like a really easy hook on people that way. Roadhog works best with Orisa. Reinhardt is decent. A lot of the meta right now revolves around using a Zarya to bubble the Reinhardt so he's able to engage and get more ult charge and do things like charge. You can pin people. With no fear of getting interrupted by a Brig or something like that, or a Doomfist. The Zarya ult is also just a huge game changer compared to Roadhog's ult, which doesn't really have that much effect anymore. One thing that I always have a tough time with Whole Hog is as soon as you use it, it's kind of like a death sentence, right? It's kind of like using High Noon. If you don't use it properly, it's almost like telling the enemy team where you are and how to kill you. Because as soon as you use Whole Hog, yeah, you do a lot of damage, but if anybody gets away from you and out of your range, then it's just ineffective. And then, more importantly, you don't have your breather. So here I'm just going to do chip damage to the shield. That's all I'm doing. I'm going to look for a hook. It's kind of hard to hook from this angle. Even if I do land the hook, it'll probably be broken. So something you want to do as Roadhog is you kind of want to do a little bit of flanking in the beginning and look for those picks. I'm going to go like crouch. I think I'm crouching here. I got Hanzo who can scout. I want to go for this guy. Almost got it, but it doesn't matter. So here, okay, so I see that they have a Mercy. I'm going to try to deny that, but it's not going to work out for me. I wanted to get a hook there, but he got bubbled. I should have went for the Mercy. I don't think at this time, I don't think I was aware that they even had a Mercy, so that was my mistake. So here, all I'm trying to do, so this is something that's really great on, not just for Roadhog, but on this map. So when I'm playing up here, right, on this high ground, I'm denying the enemy to shoot down on my team, right? And also at the same time, I'm putting pressure because if I move in here, then all of a sudden their front line at the tunnel is going to be disrupted. And that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm kind of just disrupting their front line. Look how distracted this Zenyatta is. He has so much pressure, not just for me, but for my Genji. Now look at the Reinhardt. Now the Reinhardt doesn't know where to go. Does he want to go over here to try and protect his team and peel? Or does he go right over here where he has to contest the point where the rest of my team is pushing in? Because me and Genji are here, but the other 4 of them are back here. Right? So this is a really tough decision for Reinhardt, and it's also really bad because his shield is almost broken. So that's a good point on not just when flanking as Roadhog, but this is really good on Dorado map in general. You want to get up here and you want to contest them from both angles. You want to be over here. You want to push them on this side and on this side, right? It makes it so much more difficult to defend. So I'm going to continue going to the left, look for this Zenyatta. I missed the hook, which is unfortunate, but my Genji's going to dash in and my right clicks can do a pretty good amount of damage. Here, I just want to apply pressure to the Mercy. Luckily, I got a really nice right click off on her. And even though the Molten Core is pretty scary, I'm just going to go ahead and heal right through it. I think a lot of people forget about the damage reduction the Breather does. It's really insane. Oh, another quick tip when you're talking about Breather usage, one of the things that you can always do is just turn around and have your head hitbox face away. So here I'm going to just like play around with the Tracer a little bit, distract her. If the Tracer's distracted, then that's my team not being distracted. So in a way, I'm creating space because now this Tracer is wasting her time instead of doing what she's supposed to do, which is to go for, the good hook on the Mercy. And see, what I'm going to try to do here is just use my whole hog to finish him off. Right? And this is exactly how you should use Hold Hog. Luckily, I think... Oh, no, I don't escape. That's really, really unlucky. But I'm going to go back to this. So when you land a hook on a Mercy and you have Whole Hog, you're not going to finish her off with the left-click melee combo. Her hitbox is way too small. But not only that, there's a Zenyatta, there's a Zarya, there's a Reinhardt, their whole team's there. So Mercy is such a big priority hook target if you get it, but you're not able to always finish her off. So what you want to do is use the whole hog to just finish her off with the follow-up damage there, right? And luckily the Zenyatta's in perfect range where I'm able to just wipe him as well. I do get to almost get my breather out with 36 HP, but unfortunately they swapped to a Widowmaker, so I end up going down. So yeah, the best use of whole hog, Reinhardt's having fun there. The best use of whole hog by far is to just try and to finish off someone that you get a hook on. I wouldn't necessarily use it against a tank. Like if you were to hook a Reinhardt or another Orisa main tank, maybe whole hog's okay. But I would definitely try to use it to finish off a tank or finish off a support instead of a tank. But I wouldn't use it on characters who have recoil. So just or deflect. Characters like Tracer and Genji don't care, right? You just use that whole hog and then you'll just end up recalling and there'll be no point, or they'll just try to deflect. So another thing about taking damage with Roadhog, you kind of have to try and balance it, right? Because the more damage you take, you can use your breather, which allows you to get more ult charge. So that's a really good bubble by the Zarya actually, but we ended up getting her. But right before we hook her, she headshot our Ana, so it makes it really tough to push in here. So I'm going to continue to apply pressure though. Getting that hook on Zenyatta is huge. So right there, Trans, their defensive ult is pulled. So in this situation, it's worth whole hogging. I mean, you could break through a Reinhardt shield like no problem and then just bully people in the corners. If someone tries to push you, especially a Reinhardt, so one thing you got to take a note for Reinhardt, he doesn't have the damage to kill you. He could sit there and swing the hammer all day long, and all that's going to happen is you're just going to get ult charge, and as soon as that armor disappears, you can just tear right through him. The only thing you have to worry about is if he has Earth Shatter. And luckily, I find this Mercy, but I don't hook her. I think I saw the Widow, and I was like, I'm going to go for this Widow, but then instead I go for the point. Looking back at that, I made a mistake. I should have tried to hook that. Oh man, if I hooked that Mercy, then that Reinhardt probably wouldn't have gotten rezzed. So yeah, that's really unfortunate. That's kind of just a miscalculation on my point. I had the hook. I wanted to go for the Widow, but the Mercy was right in front of me, and I should have went for that. I don't think she could have used her Guardian Angel to get out of the way. Try to go for a cheeky little hook there. He uses Earth Shatter. We have Transcendence, so I'm just going to try to be as aggressive as possible, trying to not worry about taking damage. I'm going to try to get a different angle here. I think we're going to have to do a reset because my whole team's dead. I'm trying to get the hook, which it kind of latched onto that Tracer right there, but in the end it didn't really do anything. So I'm trying to bait them in there. Unfortunately, the Tracer got me. Looks like we're doing some character swaps. Roadhog is pretty good on frontline battles. Like, point 1 of Dorado, he's pretty good. He's actually pretty great if they're just tunneling in. Second point Dorado is a lot more difficult because there's that high ground. And as we see, the enemy has that Widowmaker. So as Roadhog, there's not a whole lot I can do. So I'm trying to just focus on peeling for my supports here. I'm going to do damage to the enemy Reinhardt shield. I'm going to go ahead and push in. Great Earth Shatter. Fantastic Earth Shatter. Can't be more. You can't do any better than that. That was good. The Genji got a nice blade off, and the Reinhardt made a fatal mistake. The Reinhardt tried the shield against the Genji blade, which has no effect whatsoever. So you're going to get a really nice hook on the Mercy, but she gets out. But I'm just going to go ahead and punish the Widowmaker. I mean, there's no reason not to. This is a huge opportunity for stagger kills, which allows us to snowball. It's such a good ultimate, right? Because look at all of them. They're all stuck in this bad spawn. Look at them. The Mercy, the Zenyatta, the Widowmaker. I land a hook on this Mercy. Ideally, I wanted to whole hog this Mercy right here, right? I thought that I didn't have to commit it though, because look at this. I got my Reinhardt right here. I got my Genji right here. And then I know I got a bunch of people behind me as well. So I just figured this Mercy was going to die, which was a mistake. But I see this Widowmaker over here, and she's trying to line up shots. So I'm just going to go ahead and go for the whole hog. Another reason why this whole hog is so good is because she's just going to get trapped in there. Whole hog is best used when you use it in a narrow space, and there's no way for them to escape. Gonna go ahead and land some more damage. I'm gonna actually break the bubble. As Roadhog, sometimes it's better to break the bubble so your teammate, because you actually do so much damage, you can break a Zarya bubble in 2 hits, I believe. Maybe 1 depending on who's attacking with you. But sometimes it's better to just break a Zarya bubble than just meat shot her, right? Because you do so much damage to Zarya. And then you can also just, if you haven't used your hook yet and she's in hook range, what you can do instead in that situation is you just break her bubble and then hook her right after the bubble is done and on cooldown. So here I'm just going to try to zone the spawn door. I was looking for that. I flicked a little too hard on that Zenyatta, which is really unfortunate because that was most likely going to be a kill on him. So it looks like she has grab. Yeah, she uses it for sure. Whenever a Zarya moves up forward like that, that's a dead giveaway she has grab. But luckily, that was pretty much their biggest ult. There's nothing else to really worry about with the enemy team. Unfortunately, we committed Transcendence, and I think he was using it to try and save me. But it looks like my Genji's able to pop off here, so I think we're able to get this payload, which would be fantastic. I don't think I'm in here for the last fight. Or maybe I am. Nope. Okay. Overall, that was a pretty decent Roadhog game. So some things to take away from Roadhog. Your job is to flank, but not quite like you used to. You still do a lot of flank potential. You can annoy, you can harass, you can disrupt, you can displace people, and that's probably one of your biggest strengths is displacing people. You want to look to do as much damage as you can to tanks because your primary weapon is extremely good at getting rid of enemy tanks' armor. And armor is really hard to get through for a lot of heroes like Genji. Genji has a really tough time getting through all that armor because of the damage reduction. And using Whole Hog as a solo kill mechanism is probably the best way to go with Roadhog right now. You're not really going to see a lot of team wipes with it. Maybe you'll get a nano boost. Maybe there'll be a Zarya grab you can shoot your whole hog into. But overall, it's not going to do a whole lot for you. It's better for you to just go ahead and use it as a follow-up to your normal hook left click. Just use whole hog instead. And that's usually the best way to do it. Anyways, that's it for this game. Thank you guys for watching. And that was a VOD review on Dorado for Roadhog. I'll see you guys next time.